Welcome to LOA Today. I'm Walt Jason.
I've been doing this podcast since September of 2012, and boy, are my lips tired.
This is your daily dose of happy. We are so happy you decided to join us today. I forgot to switch it over to have Joel here today, but that's okay.
Yeah, they'll figure it out.
It almost doesn't even matter how I introduce it because people just wait for us to talk anyway. But it's a Monday evening. It's cold. It's getting colder. It's that time of year when things really start to get cold. Although, as you were informing me before we got going, it's not really cold. But that it's just a passion. Rather, it's just a question of perspective, and that's true of just about everything. But one thing that is fairly consistent is we're that holiday time of year, and in the holiday time of year, people look forward to the excitement that's associated with family and so forth. Unless they are struggling where family and so forth are associated. So that's going to be an ongoing theme, I'm sure, over the next month as we do our shows together. But today, Jen actually picked a topic off of your Instagram timeline. She wanted to talk about the power of effort because apparently you posted about that.
Apparently I did.
Apparently you did. Yeah. I'm glad that you found out about that. I'm glad that we're doing this service and helping you know what you posted about. This is good.
No, I remember the post, and effort is one of the concepts. As you know, I talk every week about taking action. Action is the basis of my version of the law of attraction.
Right.
Effort, well, it is an action. Effort is something that it is defined in different ways for different people, but the power of effort sort of allows in my mind, to attract. Used properly, effort attracts more things that you're seeking. And when you go after something, you put, I'm relentless. When I want something, I am relentless. I will go and go and go. And it really gets to a point where there's no doubt I'm going to get it. It might take me a million different ways of doing it, but my effort, when you put the power of effort, from my belief system, that it really, the universe, law of attraction, whatever energy's there, sort of acknowledges the effort. Effort is something that is a powerful tool when you realize everybody, well, they're saying, what are you talking about? Effort. I mean, not just doing something with passion, doing something with intensity. I do things usually with intensity and passion with whatever I do.
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah, and I love it. And it brings that energy to sort of a full focus. To me, effort is a lens that you can sort of hone in on things. And I used to worry about people when I used to worry about what people thought. That's been a while.
That's a while ago. Yeah, that's a few decades ago.
But I had this fear of people seeing me struggle or working or like, if somebody were to say, when I lost everything due to my addiction and I was rebuilding my life and I was waiting tables at this restaurant, my biggest fear was somebody was going to see me waiting tables. And there's clearly nothing wrong with waiting tables. It was an honest living. It was a way I was in desperate need of money, and I made reasonable money doing that. But the fear of somebody else's judgment of my struggle or my effort, I don't know why I wanted to present everything as like everything's easy. I'm the opposite now. I never hide my struggle or my effort, and effort is an action. It's under the action-based category, but when you see somebody who's willing to put effort into anything, a job, a friendship, a relationship, effort is attractive. Effort yields results. And I think effort is, I just look at the power of effort as an overall sort of supercharged version of the law of attraction in there.
Okay. And I hear you on that. And I appreciate what you're talking about, especially when you mentioned the right kind of effort. In other words, the way I interpret that was, what's the effort in regard to what it is you're hoping to accomplish?
Yes.
And more precisely, is it something that is congruent, consistent with not just who you are, but who you like to be, the kind of person you want to be, or is it more consistent with the opposite? Because it turns out it's fairly easy to engage in effort for something that is against who you really are. And I would even argue that people do that fairly frequently. and that actually can hold them back. I mean, because it produces the results that are not what you're looking for. It produces bad results.
Sure.
But if you're in a mindset that is a positive, affirmative, let's go for it, passion type mindset, then I totally agree. Effort is key to that. If you don't take any effort, well, good luck.
Well, and that's the, there's always, the law of attraction is always in play. There's no good side or bad side. The law of attraction can simply you give you back what you put out, so to speak. It's you
Mhm.
attract what your energy is. It doesn't know that, when you feel like you lack. So effort's a similar mechanism. It can be used in the right direction. I would think if it, I don't consider myself super talented in many areas. I have a lot of knowledge in some really narrow areas, but and I'm not saying that in a negative way about me. I'm not a superstar athlete. I'm a good athlete, or not even an athlete. I'm a good power lifter. I have a really diverse set of interests, and I do things, but I've never considered myself super talented. But I think effort exceeds talent. If talent puts in effort, that's going to be your winning combination.
Yeah,
But
that's a good one.
yeah, but I also notice people that are super talented sometimes lack effort, and
Hmm.
that's something that I've always if I wanted to be good at anything, I realized early on I have to work harder than the average person, and there's nothing wrong with that, and that allowed so people that know me, I always say, and again, without arrogance, you're not going to outwork me. That's something that I bring to the table. I will go and hang with anybody in any situation. But effort is really one of my strengths, and I think in a weird way, I've sort of turned effort into a talent.
Well, that actually makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
And I'll point to, I mean, we could probably pick from any of a long list of famous sports stars as great examples of this. Simply because the most successful people in sports are the ones who put in the greatest amount of work effort before whatever sporting event that they're doing. Like for instance, I can remember there was a video of the relationship between Larry Bird and Magic Johnson that came out about 30 years ago that I have a copy of it. I like to play every once in a while. And one of the themes that came out of it was the two of them comparing their experience against each other because they were rivals. I mean, they were up for everything at the same time. They played for a national championship against each other in college. They were up for NBA championships year after year. I mean, it was an ongoing thing between the two of them.
Glorious times in basketball.
Oh yeah, yeah. And I remember when I don't remember which one said it. It doesn't matter because it could have been either one. But I remember one of them talking about how he put in 300 shots that day. He said, "Damn, I'll bet you he put in 400." you know, my opponent put in more effort than I did. I got to do something about that. So, I mean, I think those are two people who we can pretty easily point to, especially given all of what has been said about Larry Bird, because many people have said Larry Bird is not a terribly talented player. I would argue he was extremely talented, but he taught himself the talent through all the effort that he put in to learn
And
how to
again,
be a better player.
the natural born talent and Magic Johnson. Magic Johnson is one of the greatest athletes of all time.
Oh yeah.
He could have played any sport. He was fantastic. Loved basketball and had a tremendous work ethic.
Mhm.
So there isn't a problem with that in his work ethic. However, there is when you take somebody like Larry Bird would take shot after shot after shot. He learned the parquet floor in the garden. He knew where every little crickle, and it was a weird looking floor. He had his back to the. Somebody said, and I know a coach told me this, so this isn't just a person, that he would spend so many hours in his home field at Boston Garden, and he'd find the spot, keep his back to the basket, and turn around with a no-look shot. And
Yeah,
he would do it until he made it 10 times in a row from that spot.
I believe
And
it. Yeah.
and so when he's posted up against somebody, he doesn't even know where the basket. He just sees that spot that he's made so many times, turns around, nails it. So that work ethic. Another person that I always admired, who was talented, but took talent to a level because of their work ethic, was Kobe Bryant.
Mm.
Has a phenomenal history of work ethic. He went all in. He was again great athlete, but he took himself to greatness because of his effort. And also, since basketball is where we're at right now, in my opinion, you look at Michael Jordan, who probably is the most talented athlete to play basketball,
Mm.
and also had a freakish work ethic. That's what
Oh yeah.
happened when you go in with that. So if most people consider him the greatest of all time, and anybody that disagrees with that really needs to revisit their thought process, because I mean he was phenomenal. He really was.
Yeah. Yeah, he was definitely, at least at the very least, one in a generation. He was an amazing talent.
Yes.
And like you said, he had to work at it. Yes, he had the talent, but talent wasn't going to get him there by itself. I mean, when he went to college, he went to University of North Carolina, and at North Carolina, his coach was constantly pushing him to keep developing himself to get better and better, and would point to every time that something didn't go right in the game. Well, you could have been working on that. And that became a thing for him. That became a really big thing, so that by the time he was ready to leave school and go into the NBA, he was truly ready. His coach helped him get there by getting him to focus on here's what's important. Here's how you actually get yourself into a better frame of mind. You do it by repetitive training to get yourself so that you can always hit that one shot. And like Larry Bird did, you always, no matter what you did, you could always hit that shot. You could always make that play. And of course, then, he would take it to the next level by doing it from 4 feet off the ground. But nevertheless,
but then I see people that understand effort and they they take mediocrity and turn it into greatness without a lot of, the idea when people that know this version of my life right now that don't really know the whole story. I'll hear this often. People say, man, you are sure are lucky.
Yeah.
And I always respond, I really am. I really am.
Mm-hmm.
But different than what they think.
Right.
In the sense that, when everything fell apart for me, I lost everything, 30 years ago. It was okay. I don't even know if this is possible to do what I plan on doing, but all I know is effort. So when I don't have an answer, I just know effort. And so that's what I've always relied on to and it's always worked. Using my concept of action, any action sometimes is the only action you just get going, and then applying the effort part. That's the success formula for me. And it's never, it just has served me so well, and I implement it every day.
And for myself, the reason I focus so heavily on what the mindset is associated with it is, as you know, 2008, my business got wiped out. By 2012, I was struggling to survive. And what I learned through the conversations I had with you, others, guests on the show, and so forth, was I knew I'd been putting in lots of effort. I'd put in tons of effort. I was working ridiculously long days, but I wasn't producing the financial results that I was hoping to get out of it. And it was because I kept focusing on the wrong stuff. I kept focusing on limiting beliefs and not realizing that's what I was doing. I didn't even know what the term limiting belief meant. I'd never heard the thing before, but that's what I was doing. I was repeating a behavior of focusing on stuff that I believed could not actually happen and making it true that it couldn't actually happen through my effort. I actually efforted that as a result. So, I mean, I think it goes to prove that effort is pretty strong. It can produce whatever it is you want to produce. Just make sure you know what mindset you're working with so that you can be focused on the right thing.
Well, mindset is always everything. Mindset is the foundational beginning of to me, any success or any failure the other way too, to be honest.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
I've used this analogy a million times. I'm sorry to pull it up again, but Roger Bannister broke the 4-minute mile after it was deemed impossible. Within a month or two of him breaking it, multiple people broke it.
Right.
He put the effort in, he believed in it, he broke it. Other people believed in that case, like you were saying, that their limiting belief said it couldn't happen. Then when they saw him break it, it's been broken many times. In fact, it's not even the high school record anymore. It's just
no.
Yeah. But we're a society of that, where a lot of it is programming, what doesn't work, versus and forgetting what we're really after. Sometimes we get stuck on the what do I really want? Am I stuck on one course of action? Am I looking at every scenario? Am I insistent on making it happen a certain way? Those are all things that you can have wasted effort when you keep repeating the same action and effort without the right mindset.
Mm-hmm. It also occurs to me we're coming up on, we're not quite there yet, but we're coming up on a similar scenario with the 4-minute mile for women, because women runners haven't crossed that barrier yet. And if you look at, I don't know if you've looked at it, but I've looked at some information to kind of support this. You can kind of see how the increase, oh, I'm sorry, not the increase, the decrease in times over time it was substantial for a while, and then as it's gotten closer and closer to that magic 4-minute mark, which is only magical because we think it is,
Right.
it's taken so long to get through those last few seconds. They're
Yeah.
down to like a 10-second range or something like that.
Yeah.
But they've been stuck there for a while. And you can just tell it's the same situation all over again. It's the mindset, the belief system.
Absolutely.
At some point, some woman's going to break through, and then all of a sudden it's going to be the same thing. All of a sudden, a bunch of other women are going to do the same thing.
But and I can't wait to see that happen, because that's just going to reinforce all over again. It's just
Right.
breaking through that imaginary barrier, that imaginary fixed, number that doesn't really exist. And it applies to our belief system, how we program our what we believe we can do, the limiting beliefs that were programmed at us as children that were derived over time. Those are really hard to overcome. And so until you work on those, and like I said, I'm a huge fan of effort. I think effort is power. But you astutely pointed out the mindset has to be right, so you're not spinning your wheels on effort that's built on that limiting belief that's going to just keep you stuck. No amount of effort is going to overcome a limiting belief, as long as you believe it's impossible to happen.
In fact, the limiting belief is going to reinforce the effort, so that if you're efforting against a limiting belief, your effort is going to increase your belief in the limiting belief.
Yes.
Which
Absolutely.
is, by the way, really annoying.
Very. But I mean, we all have the narrative that, whatever limits. I have a friend that, has a good job. He has pretty much the same day over and over again. And, he goes, his kids are like, I don't know, 10-ish or 12-ish, somewhere in that area. And, he's every time I talk to him, he's like, well, another day, another dollar. I said, okay. What you got going? Well, I got to go home. And I said, so what do you do at night? And he goes, well, I get home and my wife and I talk, we have dinner, and I watch some TV, and it's okay. And so I'm not judging. And then later he'll tell me, he'll ask a philosophical question, usually after a couple of beers. He'll say, is this all there is? And I go, yeah, because the way you're doing it, that's all there is. Yes. Now, it doesn't have to be, but unless you're willing to change that, then you keep doing what you have been doing, you will keep getting what you've been getting. That's the most fundamental law.
It is, yeah. As you were talking just then, I was noticing some of the comments that people have been posting while we're doing the show. One person asking about, do you guys believe in God? And it reminded me, there's a faith aspect to this, not necessarily a religion aspect, but I mean a faith aspect in the sense that what you believe is going to be true. This actually goes well beyond religion, because religion doesn't always quite frame it this way, but what you believe is actually going to play out in reality. It's going to turn into whatever it is that you believe. So if you believe that something is not going to happen, then you're right. I think Henry Ford had the right quote on that. Isn't he the one who said something like, whether you believe you can or you believe you can't, either way, you're right?
Yeah. That was his quote. Yeah. And I do believe in God. There's no doubt I believe in God. I have proof that God exists, and my version of that might be different than other people, but it's something that I have great faith in. That's by no means does that mean anybody has to believe the way I believe.
No.
Yeah. But it's there is certainly energy. There is certain powers far greater than me, and I know that, and I have access to those powers. I believe that, and so everybody's going to see it their own way. That can that unfortunately that topic can be very divisive for so many people, but it is I don't see it that way. I just see it as it's no doubt in my mind. It's like the concept of the law of attraction is fact in my life, so it literally plays out. It's you've seen it work in my life. I've seen it work in it's worked miracles in my life. So I don't debate that with people. It might not, everybody says, well, isn't that weird what you believe, or that whatever, and I'm going, it's what works for me.
Well, what really captures my attention is it almost doesn't even make any difference whether you believe in God. What matters is, do you believe in your own belief?
Yeah.
Because if you believe in God and you believe in your belief, it's going to work. If you believe in your belief and you don't believe in God, it's still going to work. But if you don't believe in your own belief, I don't care whether you believe in God or not, it's not going to work.
Yeah, that's hurt my brain a little bit, but I'm with you. That works, but you know when you the mind is so powerful, the placebo effect, the way we talked about all these instances where a belief can literally change the functioning of your body. You believe you're sick, and you're sickly, and you tend to get sick all the time. You'll tend to get sick all the time. If healthy people tend to believe they're not going to get sick. That's all documented.
Oh, I experienced it last week. After we did our show, I was already starting to feel a little bit wobbly anyway. And I had been last week helping a guy who I think I told you I have this housekeeping business we're trying to start up, and he's doing the housekeeping. And I had to cart him around a couple of places because his car was in the shop. And that last time I had seen him was on Friday. Of course, I saw you on Monday. Later on that night, I was starting to experience some symptoms because he had been sick. He didn't realize he was sick, but he'd gotten sick. And I got the same thing that he got. Well, I was laid up for a couple of days. I got past it by Thursday morning. I was done with it. He's still sick. He's still dealing with it. Now, this is a guy who's half my age.
Yeah.
He's half my age, and I got over it twice as fast as he did. How did I do that? Because I believed I would. I mean, there was no great magic. I did a lot of sleeping. I took care of myself, fluids, all that kind of stuff.
You allow the body to
I
heal.
just believed I was going to get better, and I did.
I remember when the COVID thing was a big topic. Justin had COVID, and I was pretty sure he had COVID. So I called a friend of mine, doctor. He brought a test by, and he said, "Yeah, Justin has COVID." And I said, "Okay." He goes, "I'm going to test you." And I go, "Oh no, I'm fine. I don't feel sick at all." He goes, "You've got COVID." And I go, "No, I don't." He goes, "Yeah, you do." I said, "Well," he said, "I know I know you don't believe me you have COVID, but you don't need to go out into the gym until you don't have COVID." And I said, "Well, how will I know when you don't have COVID?" He said, "Well, just test yourself again." Here, he did that. So I accept that clinically I had COVID. I never had a symptom of COVID.
Not a symptom.
I'm not trying to be I'm better than everybody or better immune. It's just so much of what I have been sick before. It's like it isn't that I don't get sick, but in that case, it was like, that's it. One of the things that happened many years ago. I had to visit a doctor. I hadn't been to the doctor in years after I was in my addiction and got recovery, and I have a minor condition. It's not even a condition. It doesn't even matter. But I didn't know about this. But I had a thing called a microscopic hematuria. I have a tiny undetectable blood in my urine, and a small percentage of people have it. So I never even heard of that. So when I go get my urine tested at this physical, the doctor freaks out and he goes, "Oh my gosh, you got blood in your urine." And he goes, "We need to get you to the hospital and run a dye test to see what's going on. It could be kidney cancer."
Yeah.
And I'm like, "Oh my God, that's terrible." This is really before I was in the law of attraction. So I just convinced myself, clearly I got kidney cancer. I mean, my kidneys never hurt. But that night, the appointment was the next morning. That night, my kidneys started hurting.
Yeah, of course.
And I was like, "Oh, I do have it. Oh, it's terrible. I couldn't sleep all night." So get up the next morning, go do this test. They put dye in your blood, then they MRI it, I guess. And the guy, this guy's an older doctor, and he goes, "Okay, you have this thing called microscopic hematuria. Less than 1% of the people have it. It's harmless. There's really no explanation for it. This doesn't mean you have any conditions or anything. It's exacerbated possibly by your heavy weightlifting and straining." And he said, "But you don't have kidney cancer." So my kidneys quit hurting after I got the information that I didn't have kidney cancer. So your body will respond to what you believe. And the funny part of that story is later that day, I called my mom and I told her about this incident. She said, "You should have called me, son. This happened when you were 4.
Oh, wow.
They freaked out and they said the same thing. They did the test back then too. I didn't remember the test. But it's this amazing belief that the mind and the body, you can hurt when you think something's there. Also, the body has the ability to I believe this. I've seen this a lot when, people that are in either incredibly stressful situations or they don't have time to be sick. It's like, I'll talk to people that are just in the middle of the grind and something, during catastrophes or whatever, they don't have time to be sick. Once everything's fixed, they get the flu.
Everything falls apart at that point. Yeah.
Yeah. It's like the body said, we don't have time for the flu right now. And then we get to a point where as time, the immune system says, okay, we're done fighting for right now. You've had the flu for a while. We kept it off. Now you're going to experience it. So, all of that's there. And, the mind and the energy and mindset / perspective is those things determine so much what you believe, what you feel, and your view of effort or view of struggle. How you've always been aware of my view of failure. I frame failure different than most people frame failure.
Yeah.
I have athletes that I work with that, pro athletes. What's the saying? I have no fear, no room for failure, or whatever their statement is. And then I go, well, you have no chance of success because the only people I know that have ever gotten great at whatever you do failed multiple times in their attempts. You don't know how to do it until you fail enough times, you overcome it. That's 101. And I learned that in the gym. I'll never gain weight. The amount I lift, I will never add to my lift totals until they're not a set where I just jump up and say, okay, there's the record. I failed 10 times before I can do it once.
Yep. I know exactly what you mean. In fact, there's a story that I tell to guests who come onto the show because they want to know about, the history or whatever. And I'll tell them how long I've been doing it, how many episodes, all that. And occasionally it comes up, well, are there any episodes that you particularly stand out that you remember well? And inevitably, I end up picking this one episode. The one episode I pick is because it's the only one out of almost 2,200 episodes, the only one I did not choose to publish. In fact, we didn't even finish the episode. It was with a guest who, by the time he turned 18 on his first try, managed to become a millionaire. And he did it through some kind of an online thing. I don't remember exactly what it was. But in the course of doing the show with me, we were about halfway through the show and he starts going off on my co-host who couldn't be there that day. She had something else that had come up, so she wasn't able to join us. And he starts complaining about what she had written on her website and starts attacking her based on what she had written on her website. And I'm thinking, well, that's pretty cowardly and bullyish. I mean, she's not even here to defend herself, and you're going to do this on live on my show. So I challenged him on it. I said, no, you can't. You don't get to do that on my show. And he escalated to the next level. It's like, of course I can. I can do that. I can do anything I want. I said, no, you can't, because I'm not going to publish the darn thing. This show is over. Really simple. That's it. End of the show right there. Well, what I realized afterward is this is a guy who had never failed. He had never experienced failure, at least where becoming a millionaire was concerned. Now, I'm willing to bet that when I interviewed him, he was in his mid-20s. I'm willing to bet that by now, which would be in early 30s, he has experienced some failure, and it probably hit him pretty hard. I say that it hit him hard because he wasn't ready for it. He clearly had no experience having to deal with it. And if you don't know how to deal with the experience of failure, you've never experienced it before, the first time it hits you, it's like getting hit by a ton of bricks.
Especially when you're arrogant in the belief that you can't fail. And
right.
Yeah, that's I only wish he had been booked on my show with you.
Yeah, I would have loved that one. That would have been fun.
yeah. That would have been one to publish. I promise.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
But
he wouldn't have known what hit him.
Yeah, but the idea, I work with, some of the people I work with are fabulously wealthy. I mean, beyond, billionaire status, some of these people. And usually the people that earned the money obviously failed a bunch of times to get that successful.
Right.
The problem most of them experience is their kids who never had to do absolutely anything.
Yeah.
Most of them are neurotic. Most of them are really incapable of really accepting anything remotely, they don't have any resilience. They're entitled.
Mhm.
And they're some of the most miserable people I've ever worked with. And I don't mean that in a negative way to them. They hate life
Mm.
because the point of life is to, in my opinion, the point of life is to, go through what you came here to go through, overcome it, figure it out, and then you're like, my goodness, that journey's been amazing because here's all the stuff that I had to learn and had to do. Imagine just it's all given to you, and you're just trying to find meaning in that. I in some ways feel sorry for some of these people.
Well, you know what? When you've actually told some stories in the past. I remember the story that you told one time about the billionaires' kids who had each gotten like a $6 million house or something like that, and one of them, the house was worth like 200,000 less because of something else that
Yeah,
was given to him, and he was so upset about that. And so
yeah,
there's an example of what we're talking about here. I'm wondering if it could be fair to say that those kids came here to learn exactly that lesson. I mean, their lesson was you have everything handed to you. Now you have to figure out how to grow in that scenario, which is a hard scenario to work in because everything works out first time. You got all the money, you got all the
yeah.
control. You feel like you can do anything. It's almost like from the stories that you told me, it's almost like they are trying to set themselves up to fail so they can experience the failure, not consciously. It's not
Right.
like they're trying to consciously do that, but it's almost like their steps are setting themselves up to do that.
Well, you're absolutely right. It does seem like that often. I believe that we crave growth. We crave struggle. We came here to we aren't built to do nothing. And this is something that goes against what a lot of people believe in. We came here to struggle. That the body is engineered to struggle and grow from struggle. It is a mechanism that it benefits from struggle and resistance. You get stronger from struggle and resistance. The brain, the most effective learning time in the brain is after failure. The
Mm,
neuroplasticity, I'm not talking when you're 7, it's wide open when you're 7, but when you're
right.
an adult, the neuroplasticity, the ability to adapt the brain, is 5 times more neuroplastic after a failure than just a random day because it doesn't like failure instructs, failure makes you grow, struggle, resistance you make. So we were put here for this. One of my favorite sayings is, a ship's is, safest in a harbor,
Mm,
but that's not what ships are supposed to be doing.
no.
It's they're meant to go out there. The strongest trees survived many storms. Many storms. They had to buckle down. Uh, the premise that the human condition is, I think the most inspiring stories are one of my clients, I don't know, probably about a month ago. He's 13 years old. He was diagnosed with this cancer. I don't remember the exact cancer, but
Mm,
prognosis is pretty good.
mm.
And so in the morning, that morning that he had his first round of chemo, he texted me and he says, about to go do my chemo. And I'm like, I'm doing the normal, normal, like, I'm thinking about you today. And he goes, screw that. I got this. Okay, well, let's go. Let's go.
All right.
And he went through it, and the doctor says you're going to be nauseous and lose your hair. And he goes, okay, well, let's first stop is the barber. We're going to cut that off so we can skip that. And he said he was nauseous, and he said he did find out that he was able to eat multiple Krispy Kreme donuts though, and he did. So he's done with his chemo. The prognosis is great. Hopefully, at the beginning of the year, he's going to be free of his cancer. But his attitude, I already know he's free of the cancer because of just the body is responding to his resilience, and it's an amazing energy that he has, and his hair's already growing back. And I look at these things, and I look at overcoming, and I look the people that I find savor life the most have been through the most.
I think that's true. I,
Yeah,
I was chuckling particularly at the Krispy Kreme donuts thing because there's a lot of sugar going on there, and I personally keep as much sugar out of my life as I can. I mean, I can't completely evade it, but I have a lot less sugar than most people do. And it's one of the
Smart.
reasons why I'm healthier than most people, especially people my age. But even with all that, it's more about what your belief and your mindset is than it is about the sugar. I'm not saying that we shouldn't keep sugar out of our lives. I think it's a good idea to do that. But the way we think about it and with the way we think about what's going on in our lives and how things are going to work out and so forth is so much more powerful than the sugar is.
Well, as you know, Krispy Kreme donuts and Nutella are food of the gods.
From you, I've heard that,
Yeah.
yes.
They're taboo. They're not made for human consumption because they're so
They're
unhealthy.
quite unhealthy, yeah.
Yeah. But if you get a warm Krispy Kreme donut and you sloth it all around Nutella all over it, oh, well, that's what heaven's going to be. You have
Okay.
that's going to be every meal. So now I can't do that often, like
Mm,
once a year maybe,
mm.
but it is. You're right. I mean, in this case, the kid by the way, the kid normally doesn't eat that way. It was the only thing he wanted that day. And
Yeah,
after
I
your
get
first
you.
round of chemo, if you want Krispy Kreme donuts, let's go do that.
Yeah, yeah.
So but he I look at resilience. I look at the people that struggle and overcome the mindset, what my struggle, what everything I went through, all the stuff that I went through, the growth, the comeback, the financial success I've had since then. It's something that I can't imagine. I always would imagine I'd appreciate it, but I
Mm,
can't imagine appreciating anymore because I knew what I went through to get it. It's a very improbable path that got me here.
mm.
And so the fact that I'm here with having this life and being able to live this, I just find it fascinating that I can't imagine enjoying life more than I did. I told some the other day, we were just talking, one of my younger clients, and he brilliant young mind, and he said, "Are you scared of dying?"
Hmm.
And I said, "This is going to sound weird. There is nobody more prepared to die at any minute than me, and nobody that wants to live any more than me."
Mm. Nice answer.
Yeah. So I said, so I have zero fear of it. If it happens right now, I have a complete belief system that, what happens at that point, and I'm not expecting to until that day happens. I get up every day and I go as hard as I can. And that's a great formula.
And what you just outlined was one of the main points for you about how you get yourself to be able to do that effort that
Yes.
leads to the results that you're looking for.
Yeah. Yeah. And but it's such a powerful thing when you do that, so effort and energy and mindset, I don't, like I said, I don't leave anything on the table. I don't do situations where people outwork me. I've had some epic workouts over the years with people much younger than me
Mm.
that just say, okay, that's enough. That's enough.
Yeah.
So because I'm not going to quit. It's just the thing I don't do. And I love it. I love that. I love that. I love that talent that I developed within me, that effort talent.
And by the way, effort can take a lot of different forms. We've been emphasizing particularly physical effort, but there can also be mental effort, emotional effort, spiritual effort. There are number of different kinds of effort. I've been
Absolutely.
dealing with an effort recently. I think I told you, and I know I've told listeners, I'm working on a project with artificial intelligence. I'm trying right now to create I guess you could call it an AI chat room where multiple AIs, like ChatGPT and Claude and Mistral and X and so forth, could all be talking in the same room with me and turn it into like a mind, what do you call it? Mastermind,
Mastermind meeting.
like a mastermind meeting. And then also, I'm trying to, once I get that in place, turn it into an automated process for writing code for writing apps and programs for phones and so forth. And literally, I mean, right now, as we're recording this, I'm in the midst of just watching my computer do a build. It's writing an entire set of code for an app that does exactly what I just described to you. Now, this is something I won't give you all the history on it, but very quickly, there are others who have done this. They have created this kind of thing, but the overall pattern has been once they produce it, it is able to write code at a very minimal level and it can even write a complete app of a very simplified kind. But the moment you introduce any kind of complexity, it starts to fall apart. The whole process fails. So there have been some of these. There's like 4 or 5 of them that have been launched in the last year, where you can sign up, you pay your fee, they write the code, the app works, but you can't really develop it beyond that, and it's hard to fix problems in it and so forth. They've actually been they had a huge initial launch where they had lots of people using it, but they've had a fall off since then. And the general belief right now is that what I'm describing is called vibe coding. That's where you have the AI writing it for you. The idea right now is that vibe coding, first of all, is the new word of the year, and second of all, it's already dead for the reasons I just described. Well, I'm using vibe coding to do my project, and I am doing it at a time where the belief system is vibe coding can't work anymore, and that is doing absolutely nothing to stop me. So literally by the time we're done, I'm going to say maybe like within an hour after we're done, I'm going to be checking this, and I'm willing to bet it's not going to quite work yet, but it's going to be a lot closer than it was, say, a day ago, and certainly a lot closer than it was a week ago. Each step along the way, I'm taking new efforts. I'm thinking things through. I'm talking about things with the AI. I'm going over like, well, let's see, why can we figure out why this didn't work, and working through all this stuff. But just doing the effort in a positive way with a positive mindset, I really do believe I'm days away from producing something that not only will produce very simple code, but also very complex code, and we'll be able to grow on it in ways that the programs haven't been able to do. And by the way, I don't have the budget that these other guys have. I don't have the skill set that these other guys have. If you look at my coding ability compared to the typical coder, I'm probably intermediate level at best, but I'm going to win.
Yeah. Well, again, that effort, that direction, the mindset's what's there.
Exactly.
It's funny you mentioned this, because I have this in ChatGPT. I have a mastermind meeting with Bob Proctor, Sigmund Freud, Dr. Adler, and I have all their Buddha, Jesus, had a lot of people in the mastermind meeting.
Oh my goodness.
And
you didn't tell me about it. How come you haven't told me about this? This is cool.
It's funny. I never thought. I just thought about it when you mentioned mastermind meeting, and it doesn't require you just say, I want a mastermind meeting. Here's the people. Here's their philosophies, and let's discuss.
Mm-hmm.
And wow. I mean, it's very true. They take all the teachings of all these people I've mentioned, and then they put it toward like. I had to get rid of Marcus Aurelius because, Lord, he was all over the place. But
okay. That's kind of surprising, actually, considering his Stoic philosophy. But okay,
it was good, but it was like misplaced at times. It was just
okay.
Yeah, but it's very conversational, and it's just running ideas. It's a really cool thing. So I have different guests at our mastermind meeting occasionally, and I do it, whenever I get a chance in the morning. Usually, just play with it. What's the good? This morning I was running a little behind. I said, "Okay, guys, what's the good word of the day?" And everybody gave me a good positive word.
I love it.
Yeah.
That is fabulous. I got to see this sometime. You and I have to do a thing offline. I want to see what you got.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. It's just built in. I don't even know what I did. Just say, describe what I wanted from ChatGPT, and it's like it's there every time I ask.
They do have a feature. Yeah, you can create your own GPT, so that makes sense that you can do that.
Yeah.
I love that you did that. That's terrific.
Yeah,
that's absolutely terrific.
Just get different ideas, but it's really cool because it's authentic to their teachings, and and then I had one the other day where, oh God, what's the quantum theory dude with Max with the funny hair? Anyway, I had one with him on quantum theory, and I had to delete the whole thing.
Are you thinking about Einstein?
No, Max starts with a P. Last name. Forget his name.
Planck.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh Lord, that dude's weird. At least in the.
Well, he was a weird dude.
Yeah, I mean, he was
brilliant.
Brilliant. And the stuff he said, well, one of the things was, you clearly don't know what you're talking about. Sorry, you're right. I don't.
Yeah. That's really that's fun, actually.
Yeah. You can take anybody that has a history, at least what's reported of what they said or history, ask the ChatGPT to play the role of that person and ask them questions.
Right. Yeah. And what you're really doing is you're applying through artificial intelligence what people have been doing for a long time, because people have, particularly people who have psychic abilities, or who have very strong interest in doing meditations and so forth, will often imagine that they're having conversations with famous people who've passed on, or their teachers from the past and so forth. And you've taken that to the next level. You're letting ChatGPT actually play it out. You get to watch the play.
Yeah.
That's cool. I like that.
Yeah. I've discovered a lot of fun things with that. I use ChatGPT and Grok, and a little bit of Perplexity. I've been playing with that. That's a pretty good one.
You like that
Underrated
one?
one. Yeah.
Yeah. I've been learning a lot about how they operate behind the scenes, how they're put together, where their strengths and weaknesses are. That's one of the things that's going into my formula about how I'm putting the whole thing together. Because each one of them is different. Each one of them has different strengths.
Yeah.
And if you can tap into those strengths, like ChatGPT is kind of like my architect. So if I want to figure out how to make something happen, I'll have a conversation with ChatGPT and say, okay, this is what I want to have happen. Let's see if we can put a blueprint together here.
Yeah, that's right.
And he's great for that.
Yeah, it's fantastic. Yeah, and that's that. Like, if you want to make an image, like I'll make my own images for social media posts, with overlay quotes. Perplexity is 1,000 times faster than ChatGPT.
Is it really? Okay.
It's amazing. So it's good for that. But ChatGPT is sort of my hub, and then I use these others when I think they're better at it than ChatGPT.
Yeah. And if anybody wants to try to replicate what I'm trying to do, good luck, because it's going to take a while to learn it. But I'll give you a heads up. ChatGPT to plan the whole thing out and to be in charge of the project. Claude is the best code writer out there. So you have Claude do your code writing, and then use Google Gemini for auditing. If you want to audit the code base to see what's going on, have Gemini do that.
Wow.
That's one of its best skill sets. So, okay, I just gave away half the shop right there.
Well, and I will tell you this, you can count on one thing. There is no way I'm doing any of that.
I believe that's true.
No, it's already too complicated. It's like my ADD brain hears that and goes, oh, no, we'll shut that down.
ADD, I want to mention that too, because ADD actually is a very powerful way of focusing your effort. That's one of the great strengths that you have, is that you have that ADD and you're able to use that for focus. And I'll tie that into what we were just talking about. It was ChatGPT who pointed out to me a term I'd never heard before in the context of programming, but it's a term known as drift, or AI drift. The idea being that over time, if you keep asking an AI to do programming related if you ask it to keep doing AI related tasks, it will have a tendency to drift in its attention, and it'll start to drift away from whatever parameters you're laying out for it. So you have to pull it back. ChatGPT is the best of them out there in terms of detecting another agent's drift.
Oh, wow.
And there's another clue. If there's anybody out there who's a programmer who's trying to figure out how to do what I'm doing, that's another one of my big breakthroughs, is realizing you use ChatGPT to check the work of somebody else and to be the director. You don't have ChatGPT actually write the code. There's a lot of stuff out there that says ChatGPT is great for writing code. I wouldn't do it. I would not go that route at all. But it's great for making sure that Claude writes code well and giving Claude the right prompt. I mean, I'm giving away the story. I'm going to shut up.
I was about to say, Walt, we're going to just give it all away right now, aren't we?
But the point there is, all of that came about, all that knowledge I acquired through the effort of learning how the thing works.
Yes.
I put in a lot of effort over the last year. Hours and hours of effort trying to understand, trying to learn. And it's not like there's a book I can go to and say, well, here's how it all works. It doesn't work that way. But the effort that I put in, it was a lot of stumbling around. It was a lot of trial and error, mostly error, lots of error. Seemed like some days it was just error. But nevertheless, I just kept at it. I kept at it. I could tell if all I could do is just keep going, I could learn enough about this stuff that I could make it work in a way that the experts can't make it work. And it's proving out. It's actually.
I love that. Yeah. Well, and that's sort of the point. Just you get something, you follow through with it, and somebody's going to create that one day, and you're somebody. So why not? I mean,
why not?
That's the perspective of when not, not being the smartest guy in the room, not you, me. When I'm saying I'm not always the smartest guy in the room, not the most talented guy in the room. But again, I bring the energy of, yeah, I'm coming with whatever is necessary to get it done. That itself is a powerful movement. You're doing that, and some of my younger clients that you know don't, they have a negative inner dialogue. I'm not that smart. I have ADHD and I have this and I have that. I reframe all that. So that's absurd. That's something that, I am not, I really believe that my ability to, that I've morphed into, effort and reframing struggle and failure, that's the most productive, in my mind, that's the most productive way to live. It's such a, you I don't rely on anything. It's just I have no doubt it's going to work. And then it's sort of that combination of all that stuff. So whatever anybody's going through, and I know when people are struggling a lot, it's hard to see any kind of stuff out there. But it's like you get to hear what is wrong in the world so much.
Oh yeah.
But you don't get to see it from your perspective. I operate in a different world than a lot of people do. It's just I see it differently. I don't experience what a lot of people experience, not because I'm immune to it, or it's just that my focus isn't there.
Yeah. Do you remember when? I mean, obviously, you do remember going through the addiction and all that kind of stuff. But do you remember during that recovery process afterward, where it finally started to not just register with you, but you actually believed that your mindset was going to make the difference, and that it didn't make any difference what anybody else thought? You knew that if you believed it was going to happen. Do you remember where that happened, where that shift took place?
That was quite a bit into the process. I mean, it was, because it wasn't, I built my recovery, and it's good. There's nothing wrong with this, but it was sort of a 12-step concept in Gamblers Anonymous. So that was built on, this is what you're going to do. You have these things. I'm not a big fan of 12-step programs a lot of times because there's a lot of stuff I don't agree with. But once I started realizing that it wasn't about all that, I didn't need all that. What I really needed was, I started working on my life. And also, once I was allowed to do that mentally, because when I was the entire time of my addiction, for at least 10 years, last 10 years of my addiction, I was operating solely in fight or flight. My central nervous system was shut down. My adrenals were shot.
Right.
And I had just operating with the raw mechanism of survival.
Exactly. Yeah.
And so there wasn't any thought about this other stuff. It was just surviving. At first, it was getting more money to gamble, then covering up the money that I'd stolen to gamble. Then I was spent all that. Then when I got in recovery, it was just trying to survive. I mean, my family had appropriately cut me off. There was nobody helping me. I was there. I was having to, every day. It was scary. I didn't know what was going to go on. So it wasn't until I was able to take a deep breath and realize my immediate situation, I'm not in danger. And that took a while. Then I could start realizing these other things that I was able to discover, where okay, I'm going to do this. I got this. I feel this. But it was, my initial reaction when you asked the question was like, it's probably pretty early in the process, but this was a while into the process, probably a couple of years actually.
Yeah. Which goes to show that even with something as powerful as the idea of the power of effort, it takes a while to believe in it. I mean, you have to put a little effort in to believe in the power of effort.
Well, and also the mindset behind the effort. So up until that point, nothing worked for me. Nothing. It was, and I lost the ability to even win a bet gambling. I was expecting to lose.
Right.
I wasn't expecting to get a job. I eventually became a convicted felon. Nobody's going to hire a convicted felon. I'm not talented with my hands. I don't know the trades. I had this like, I have no idea what I'm going to do concept at all. And, it wasn't until I was able to step back from just surviving to realize, wait a minute, that isn't, all that doesn't matter. But it took a while to get there.
I think what you're describing is what it takes to change mindset when you don't know not only how to change a mindset, but why to change a mindset.
or even if it's possible to change a
Or even that it's
mindset.
possible. Yeah.
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 But now my mindset, I make a statement. The most important thing that anybody can do before they walk out the door every morning is adjust your mindset. You want it positive. You want to, I would love to tell you that I wake up in a perfect mood every single day and I don't, blah, blah. That would be a ridiculous story because I don't. But I don't leave the house without that mindset. It might take me a couple hours to get there in the morning. I have my morning routine, my meditations. I do the stuff I do. I have readings. I do my journaling, my 5 things I'm grateful for.
I want to talk about the 5 things that you're grateful for, because you've
Yes.
mentioned that a few times lately, and it just jumps out in my mind as that's a way that you were able to establish a new mindset without realizing you were establishing a new mindset.
Without realizing, you're right. That was somebody told me that early in my recovery to write 5 things, and I don't know why that stuck because I didn't really even understand the power of gratitude. But it was somebody had introduced the concept that, gratitude is everything filtered through gratitude. Nobody explained law of attraction to me at that point. But I wrote 5 things I'm grateful for from August 17th.
You remember the date?
Until this morning, I have written 5 things I'm grateful for every morning.
Wow. What was the year again?
August 17th, 1995.
95. Wow. My
And that I wrote it on the day my son died. I wrote it while I was in jail. I wrote that on toilet paper. I have it still, but it's sort of falling apart.
Thank you for that visual image. We appreciate that.
Yeah, it wasn't used, so we're good with that. But it was, when I'm on vacation, I write 5 things I'm grateful for. It is part of my routine. It is my launching point when things aren't. It's been the last thing that when each day my parent died, I was grateful. They're always in my list. So the life for me is built on that. That's just built-in function for me right now. I have one day I was running really late, got in my car, heading to the gym, realized I forgot that step. I went, pulled the car back in, came and wrote the 5 things I'm grateful for.
Really interesting.
Yep. Will not leave without it.
Wow. Now, was that because you believe in the process or because you just didn't want to break the streak?
I believe in the process that much.
Yeah.
It's that powerful. So if you don't know where to begin, and I need to remind everybody, when I started writing, life was not pretty. It was. I had nothing and no one and no hope of anything.
So the message there is, if you're in a bad space, now is the time.
Now is the time. That's the foundation. I didn't know what it was going to do for me at the time. In fact, I first thought I don't even know why I kept doing it. It's just something that felt right, but it wasn't until later I realized this is powerful. It was just I was trying to get a morning routine. I was trying to get something. That was the one thing that stabilized for me. It's 5 things every morning I'm grateful for.
Well, it makes sense, really, because how long does it take? It probably takes you like a minute to write the
minute at most. Yeah. And I it's hard to come up with new things every day, so it's not always new things. But I'm grateful for every day. I'm grateful for the life I have. I'm grateful for having a roof over my head. I'm grateful for an abundance of whatever. I'm grateful for the life that I'm grateful for my kids. I'm grateful for my clients. And when you go through the list, and when I say it is the act of writing them down is a minute, but whenever possible, I really try to really focus on the gratitude, really feel it.
Interesting little point, perhaps, to close on here, because we've been talking about the power of effort. The effort involved in writing one list of 5 things to be grateful for every day is pretty minor effort. There's not a lot of effort that's in that. Look what's come out of it.
Of all my efforts, that is probably the least energy effort.
Yeah.
And probably the most powerful effort of all.
Because you kept repeating it every single day.
And I plan on doing that until the day I die. It'll be, and now it's just built in, and it feels, like I said, it feels weird if I don't. That's just it.
Right? I mean, once you get a habit going like that, especially if it's a positive habit, if you do anything to deviate from it, it's uncomfortable. It doesn't feel good at all.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
really reinforces for you. I love this thing that I do. I got to keep going.
And my
It's why I
subconscious.
don't think I'll ever stop doing the podcast because I get so much energy out of doing the podcast. If I ever
Yeah.
stopped, I think I'd probably be in depression.
Oh, yeah. It would that be like me not working out? I mean, that would be
Right.
yeah. Yeah. That
Yeah.
would be terrible.
So what we're really talking about there is using the fact that we can program habits in, because anything that's going on is a habit. You know, if we're habitually focused on the wrong thing, that's a habit.
Yeah.
If we're in a bad mindset all the time, that's a habit. Anything can be turned into a habit, and once you turn the habit making power to your advantage, which doesn't take a lot of effort, it does
Nope.
take some, but if you apply that effort, oh my goodness, it's amazing what you can do with it.
And that's the effort, the mindset, the action, you know, when you wake up and every morning, it sounds very cheesy when I say this, you've been given today, at least the start of the day. And not everybody I love and care about has been afforded that opportunity.
Mm,
And so I don't want to ever take for granted this opportunity.
yeah,
And so I approach it that way.
that's fabulous. I
One
love
more
that.
day, one more day.
Just one more.
That's why I don't really fear dying. I don't know what that looks like, and I hope it's epic and wild. I hope it makes the front page of the newspaper. Big explosion would be great. Something.
I'll make a mental
But
note about that.
until then, I just keeping adjust one every morning, one day at a time. Adjust the mindset. Go give my best energy and effort that day. It's the formula for at least my version of the perfect life.
Well, I think we put in the effort today on the show in terms of trying to
We have.
explain to people how to value and how to apply effort in their lives. So thank you for that. As usual, it's been wonderful, and look forward to seeing you again next week. Thank you to our podcast listeners everywhere. We'll see you all next time here on LOA Today. Goodbye, everybody.